Hey guys, Drifter here. I've got my brand new HTC VIVE Pro set up and configured and even running in mixed reality in 1080p, so I've got some very fun gameplay to show off. I still have some work to do on my mixed reality. As you can see, my sync is a little off, the chroma key could use a little love, I gotta work on my angles and a lot of other sort of things, but this test run is working quite well, and I think that this is the best way to share VR games because it gives you a much better understanding of what the user is doing than the standard headset view. However, this is not a video about mixed reality, it's about the HTC VIVE Pro. I'm going to review it and do an unboxing of it today. The review will be during gameplay segments kind of like this, but I just wanted to show off what it can do. The game I'm playing is Sairento, by the way. Anytime I'm playing a game during this video, you'll see the text of the game down there below, or their logo, or you can just look it up in the description. So now that you've seen a little bit of gameplay from the VIVE Pro, let's jump over and do an unboxing, and then I'll come back with a more formal review. That was a brief segment of fun mixed reality gameplay that I managed to capture with the brand new HTC VIVE Pro. Thank you, HTC, for sending me one like 2 weeks before it even came out. I love VR, so I was super hyped to get this, but I couldn't capture it alone. I also had to have a 4K 60 Pro from Elgato and a 4K Brio webcam, which I used to configure into this little device that we'll talk about later, in order to be able to capture everything properly. So I wanted to unbox the product and talk a little bit about it. This is the brand new HTC VIVE Pro. It is the highest resolution consumer headset on the market from Vive or Oculus or Samsung. I don't really want to count some of the stranger, more off-brand things that don't really have game support. They're partnered with Steam. Pretty much every game on the planet is going to work with this device, and it's got the highest resolution. So without any further ado, let's unbox it. So here's the box it comes in. It's a little bit smaller than your average console box. It's big and it's white. I'm going to cover up some of this information on the back. And the VIVE Pro does come with a subscription to Viveport, which gives you several free VR games rotating monthly. It's kind of like a rental or trial service for VR games. I'm covering up a little code over there so you guys don't rip it from me. I'm going to spin it around. Now, of note, this is just the headset and the link box. It's not the base station 2.0s or the controllers or the wireless kit, which we will talk about later. I'm going to go ahead and, oh, do I need a knife for this? Really? Come on, I can get this. Oh, yes! That loud rip. Let's see, we got a little hole here. There we go. We got one part. That's probably the box, the base station. And I have a feeling this is supposed to slide out on its side. So we're going to flip this over, see if I can get a decent, there's a little tab that says pull me. Oh, that's a lot of instructions. We'll probably read those later. Let's just get this out of the box first, huh? I'm trying to do it fancy for YouTube and I'm like messing it up. There we go. All right. I can't even see this. You're going to see this before I see it, okay? I hope there's a beauty in there. It should be a nice, bright blue HTC VIVE Pro just sitting in there. I'm going to put it down for a moment, and I'm going to see what's in the other box, the base station. Very small, but that is what all the components will hook into, all the necessary cables. These are going to be what link the headset in place. This is that's a sticky thing, so it doesn't slide around. And what else? There's something else hiding in this box underneath here. More power cables. A lens cleaner, and I believe that is it for the small box. I don't think there's anything else in the small box. All right, so now that all the little components are out of the way, let's take a look at the headset itself. I'm going to slowly lift it. Oh, it just slides out of the plastic. Okay. Well, and I can grab it, and I can pick it up kind of like this and pull the plastic. Oh my God, that is already, it's a little bit heavier than the regular Vive. It's got much nicer padding on it. Let's take a look at, the ears are wrapped in bubble wrap. And if it looks correct to me, I have a feeling that these ear components are going to be very similar to, yes. So on the regular Vive, you have to buy the Vive Audio Pro, which I'm going to turn this a little bit upside down because we're playing with it, that has built-in headsets, because on the regular Vive, you'd have to plug in your own headsets or earbuds or something. So it's built in here on the Pro, and it also appears to have additional padding over the base model. So let me see if I can get this off without destroying something. There we go. Feels good to know that I can not wreck a product as soon as it comes out of the box. And you guys can see the inside of the headset. Oh, okay. Here's some lenses. Let's see, we can get a good look at our own lenses here. How do we get this off? Don't scratch them, it says. Those are the lenses. Now, each one of these screens is going to display at about 1600p. It uses a custom resolution. It's not exactly 16 by 9 because your eyes aren't 16 by 9.
I'm waving at the reflection.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to like turn the product or something.
I was like, hello.
Yeah. So they're roughly a square-ish resolution for your eyes, and the lenses help kind of bend them around so that you feel surrounded by your image. But it runs at about 1600p, be the best way to approximate it. We've got our adjustment cable on the back. On the front end, it does look like we actually have 2 sensor cameras on the front. Very few people use these, but I plan to use these for various mixed reality stuffs. And it looks like we have one universal cable that plugs into the back. You can see it right there. That looks like a custom cable of some kind. Oh, make sure there's nothing hiding in here. Oh, there is. There's presents in here. What do we got? Stickers. We got stickers. And a big instruction manual and paperwork. Let's see. Adjustment. Measure your interpupillary distance. Oh man. I have to do science with this later. I would like to remind everybody that this is a very high-end product, and running VR in high resolution takes a lot of processing power. And you definitely can capture your gameplay and do interesting streams and gameplay captures just on your computer, but it's a little bit of a strain. So I prefer to run a 2-computer setup, and in order to do mixed reality, I have to render the game 6 times and do some really crazy stuff, which is why having an external capture card, especially one that's qualified to run 4K so that I can do some neat things with the quality, is very nice. We're going to do a brief unboxing of the Elgato 4K 60 over here, and they do sponsor me, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the box, which is inside the box is a smaller box, apparently, which I will lay down. And we will open it up as if it is a book or a Bible or a holy thing. And you will notice that it is much, much bigger than the normal Elgato HD60 Pro. As a matter of fact, it is about 2 or 3 times the size of the base model. See if I can get this off. This one's qualified to capture 1080p 60. It can do 1440p 120 FPS or 144 Hertz, whatever, which one you want, or 4K 60 FPS. This one is about the size of a smaller low-end graphics card, and it is a pretty hefty device in general. Got the Elgato branding on it. You can see the ports down there on the bottom as well. Give it a little time to focus, cooperate. Pretty cool card. Oh, we got the branding on the bottom side as well. So if you put them in like that, you can actually see which card is which. And I figured if I'm running a 1600p headset and a 4K video capture rig, well, I should probably also have a 4K camera so that I can get really high quality footage of my body, because it would look bad if I were like blurry and the gameplay were good. This one's very simple. I've unboxed these before, but what I did with it is I took it out and I made this custom rig at Home Depot. I just went and bought a whole ton of parts from Home Depot, and I kind of bought like $40 worth of things and screws, and I played Legos to make sure that it all hooks up together. Just trial and error experimentation. The item on top is an HTC VIVE tracker, which tracks the camera in 3 dimensions. And the goal, the design goal anyway, was to get it as close to the camera as possible, especially this dot to that eye. And I think the Home Depot parts worked out excellently. It's very, very close. It matches very closely, so that when we film and we grab it and move it and tilt it, it should move and grab and tilt in real time in VR with me. And we're back with the review. So I have some thoughts about the device, some good, some bad, and some more just straightforward factual. On the factual side of things, the resolution has been increased to 1200p to 1600p. This is roughly a 75% increase, because you do have to keep in mind that is the screen, so it's a squared area, so increasing one side squares the entire thing, and a 75% increase is close to double, but not quite. This is not true 4K that many competitors are offering. There's a lot of sort of off-brand 4K headsets, and there's not very many computers that can even handle that, and most of the off-brand headsets have questionable game support. The 2 big boys in the market, or 3 big boys I should say, are PSVR, Oculus, and HTC VIVE. As of now, HTC VIVE has by far the highest resolution headset and the best picture quality, and this increase in resolution does make a very noticeable difference, especially when the screen is only 2 inches away from your eyeballs. Because VR is basically in-your-face technology, and it needs to fool your brain into thinking that it is the world around you. So the higher the resolution, the better it's going to be able to do that. And it does look noticeably better on a variety of games, and it wasn't too much more burdensome on my PC or gaming laptop. Of course, it did take more effort to render it into higher resolution, but both of my devices performed much better than expected, and I ran into very limited problems. The only time I had problems with anything was when I was trying to do mixed reality, but that requires me to render the game 6 times, 2 times in 1600p, and then 4 more times in 1080p, and a lot of other crazy stuff, so of course that's burdensome. The HTC VIVE Pro comes with all of the add-ons of the regular VIVE, such as the Pro Audio headset, the more comfortable straps, and all the little bells and whistles that you would have had to pay for on the original unit. This goes a long way for comfort and for usability over time. It's very nice to have. However, the audio is insanely stupidly loud, and whoever designed the audio for the HTC VIVE is an absolute moron. Or so I thought. I was initially very off-put by it. The audio for the original VIVE was quite loud, and this one was just an order of magnitude higher. When I play on the VIVE, I have to put the audio on about 5% or it'll hurt my ears. Now, I'm a sensitive boy and I've got sensitive ears, and I know that, and I thought that it just had to have been some clown that designed this because it makes no sense. But as you'll see later, I am very confident that this was designed for bars, arcades, malls, trade shows, or a very loud, noisy environment. And if you built a sort of indoor headset that had nice, smooth audio curves and was quiet and sensitive, and you took it into one of those environments, whoever was playing the game wouldn't hear any audio at all, and they would have a terrible experience. So this does make sense from that standpoint, even though it can definitely blow your ears out. My recommendation is just turn it down a bit if you're at home, or turn it down a lot. The new cable box unfortunately has less options than before. You have no HDMI support at all. It runs on DisplayPort cables only, and I know this because I tried 3 workaround cables, and I'm telling you, you need to use the DisplayPort cables. Don't use adapters, don't use anything else, or it just won't work. And you have no custom audio support. The old box had a standard headphone jack that you could plug anything into or pass through audio or do a lot of complicated stuff, and I have a suspicion that VIVE just killed that so that they can make the device all digital. It gives them better control of the sound, better syncing, and prevents people from doing, like me, that do gameplay capture, from doing strange pass-through things and getting delays. Another good thing about this is that when you buy it, you do get a year-long subscription to VivePort, which is just a bunch of free video games for you. It's kind of like GameFly for VR games. You get to rent 5 VR games per month for free, or, well, you know, you pay for VivePort, but you get the year subscription for free. And you can play the 5 as much or as little as you want, and the next month you can rent 5 new games. It's not the entire library of games on Steam, of course. It's ones that have partnered with VIVE, but there's a lot of games in there, and you'll definitely get your value from it. And my suspicion here is that I think HTC wanted to get into the software market a bit more, and they wanted to get users on their software, on their end of things, to start generating revenue on the software and not just the hardware side of things. Now, there are some bad things about the headset that the internet doesn't like, but in my opinion, those are things that are more misunderstood. Let's go with number 1. The price is $800, and that's just for the HMD or headset itself. You don't get the new 2.0 controllers, you do not get the new 2.0 base stations, and you don't get the new wireless adapter backpack, though I do kind of understand that one because that one's almost like a computer on your back. That's an entirely different beast. So paying $800 for just the headset is very expensive, and the other items are going to be releasing later this year, and if you wanted to buy each one of them individually, again without the wireless backpack, it's going to be about $1,400-ish, and I don't know what the wireless backpack is going to cost, but if you want to add that on there, I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to $2,500. And this is a lot of money for VR, and it's especially a lot of money, so it's $800 for the standard headset. $800 is a lot of money for the upgraded headset itself, when you can get the original headset, the base stations, the controllers, and everything you need to get going for $500. So a lot of people on Reddit were mad about this, and on Twitter, and the question would be, well, like, why would HTC shaft consumers like that? Well, the industry reports I read speculate that even with the price drop on the original HTC VIVE, HTC is still making a profit on each VIVE sold. Like most products, for a long time, it's a loss leader, and they get more profitable as they continue. Well, they're profitable to the point now to Vive can charge $100 less for the original unit and still turn profit on that. And the Vive Pro isn't even marketed as a direct consumer item. It's more of a prosumer, a hobbyist, or a business item. The Vive Pro, in my opinion, is designed for developers, for hardcore hobbyists like myself, for prosumers, and most importantly, I think that it's designed for malls, arcades, and businesses. Hence that very loud audio I was complaining about earlier. The Vive Pro seems very specifically designed to get very high quality gameplay experiences from public areas, like a crowded trade show floor, a mall with lots of customers coming out, a barcade where people can drink and play Vive games or something like that. And almost all of the additional accessories for the Vive Pro that are coming out seem to be in line with this and designed more for businesses. So my suspicion is that HTC Vive is using the Pro as an alternative or an introductory or loss leader product so that somebody will, let's say, go to a very high-end arcade and they'll have a Vive room and they can sit down and play the Vive Pro with all the fancy stuff, and they'll really like it because there's a lot of people that still haven't tried VR. In my experience, the majority of my fans still haven't tried VR. Most people, even though it's available at trade shows, haven't tried it, and most people don't even believe VR. Like, they just don't think that it works as good as it does, or it is as immersive as it is. So they're trying to get the Vive Pro in the hands of businesses to get people to try it. Now, most people that try it are just sold hook, line, and sinker, in my opinion. And then the regular consumers will want to buy it. They'll discover that the original Vive is at a lower price. They'll buy that one, make HTC profit, and grow the install base. So I think that's kind of the overall plan with the HTC Vive. And my final thoughts on it is that I'm very happy with my Vive Pro. I utterly adore my Vive Pro. I adored my Vive. I like my Oculus Rift. I like my PlayStation VR. I utterly love VR stuff, so I'm very happy to have the latest and greatest from Vive Pro. For most people, if you're looking for value for your dollar, the regular HTC Vive is going to be your better bet because that comes with every single thing that you need to get started. But if you want a really premium VR experience, if you're really into it, Vive Pro is downright awesome. Alright guys, well that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And I do want to add a shout out here at the end. There's a lot of companies that help make this video possible. I got the HTC Vive Pro from HTC. I got a gaming laptop from Survios, which I can use to run the games. I got capture cards from Elgato so that I can capture some of this. And I got 4K webcams from Logitech so that I can do the mixed reality stuff. So I had a lot of help getting this project going. Thank you all for your help. Drifter out.